Okay, so for the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a pretty fun topic. We're going to be talking about social selling in the next wave and how social selling fits into your sales strategy and your field execution strategy. And I know what you're thinking. Common misconception is social selling and social media in the sales force is a total waste of time. How is social selling going to sell more cases for me? So we're going to kind of talk about that today and talk about ways that we all use social media to actually help our field sales execution. So a couple things that we're going to talk about is, everything is good in moderation, especially with social selling. It's not going to take over your sales execution and your sales strategy, but it plays a role in it. So where does it belong? How often should it be utilized? Does it fit within traditional selling strategies? And can it improve internal collaboration as well with your team? And then how can we measure return on investment? That's the key here that we're working towards. And you can't measure what you don't track. So to kick it off, Brian, Kelly, a couple questions. How does social media play a role in your current sales strategy? Does it impact your traditional sales strategy? And how does it strengthen your customer relationships?
We know, just backing up, that the US is really mobile first. We know that people spend like 4 hours and 5 minutes on their phones every day. And then on top of that, we know that they're spending about 2 hours a day on the top 5 platforms of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Snapchat. So for us, we're realizing that everyone's on their phones, from consumers to trade. And for us, social media is a way to reach people in the right mindset. It's very fluid, and it's part of our overall marketing mix. And so for us, it's become one of the biggest channels for us because it's got integrated storytelling that helps us tell our brand stories. It has real-time analytics. It's got amazing targeting and segmenting. And so those are things that, for traditional media, it hasn't always been the case for us to have that type of integration. And so it's really important for us.
And it's a good target to meet those or to engage with those pesky millennials who are always changing their minds, right?
Sure. Yes.
Brian, how are you using it?
Yeah, we're absolutely focused on social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, really with our two brands. Our goal is really to bring our demographic to the millennials, obviously, but also to skew a little bit to where our demographic is. We're high-end wineries selling luxury brands. So we want to have our customers experience that luxury, not just when they have the opportunity to do it, to drink it, but also to share it with us and then bring it back. For myself, I also kind of do it to interact with my customers. So when I'm in an account and I'm drinking our wine, love to take a picture of the dish that I'm eating along with our wines and kind of include my customer in that as well. So we're doing that as well as sort of a sales strategy.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into the account level here in a little bit. But going back to what you said, Kelly, these are two examples of how you're using it. And can you further talk about how, in these two specific cases, what you did here?
Yeah. So, we use social media in a couple different ways. For us, consumers are definitely important, but we really use the segmenting capabilities to target trade. And so there's a couple things we offer. From an account point of view, when we're talking to different accounts, we have a full-size marketing team that offers content development. So what we try to do is really approach an account that either has a marketing manager that's overseeing their social media presence, and we'll say, hey, we can come to you with content. If you don't have a marketing manager, that's okay too, because we can help partner with you to provide some great integration. So Applejacks is an account in Colorado, and they're a great key account for us. And so, we kind of take a marketing first approach to a lot of our efforts, and so they've integrated a lot of our efforts, whether it's, if we have a cab narrative that we're really trying to push, or, for example, Sake Day on October 1st, we helped develop this content and provided it to them, and they pushed it out to their social channels. So that's been a really great way for us to kind of get around the tied house rules as well, where we really partner with accounts versus trying to figure out a way how we can push to trade, even though we do that as well. And I will say, from targeting distributors, since that's our main point of touch points, we're looking for ways that we can target them with the capabilities through paid media, that we can provide them kind of an always-on approach, reminding them the value of our brands, because there's so much competition out there. So we're really trying to find content that we target to our distributors, to our brand managers, and then to key accounts as well, giving them important resources from education to brand awareness and things like that for our brands.
Absolutely. And Brian, as VP of Marketing and Sales, we all know that social media plays a huge role in your marketing campaigns. That's a given, right? Mm-hmm. But on the side of the sales side, we're going to go into how you use it on an account level and how you said you're in the accounts, you're trying to support them with social presence on there. How does that affect your sales approach? And share, kind of, this is a sticky subject here when you're talking about account level social media. So share your recommendations on what you should do, what you don't do, what you've learned so far in actively doing this in the trade.
Well, in terms of what you should do, absolutely. Tweet, Instagram, share where you're at, because it gives the customer a look at you and saying, hey, he was in here, he did this, he was sharing us, he was promoting us. The promotion's a little bit on a little bit of the challenging side. The first thing you need to do if you have a social media account like I do is make sure you specify that it's your account and not the company's account. The company cannot tie into advertising for somebody that's buying from them. So that's pretty important. But you see what I kind of do here is I kind of just point out, here's a great dish, or here's a great account of ours, here's what they have of ours, and thank them. Personally thank them, because it's another way of talking to the account. You may or may not get the buyer in there when you're in that account that night, but they certainly are going to see it. And you're also going to see, everybody else in the management team is going to see that and the support you're giving to them. So it's just another way of, in the old days and still today, we drop our business cards whenever we have dinner in an account. This is another way of amplifying the dropping of the business card. As well as telling the consumers out there that if you're in this account, you're a Paul Meyer lover, and you're in this account, you can get Paul Meyer, so you might want to go to that account and get the Paul Meyer.
Okay, so kind of switching topics and talking about how social can help improve collaboration within your team. And so, Brian, I'm dying to show this photo that you're willing to share with us. I don't know if you guys can see it here, but on his chatter feed, they internally, he shared this with us, is a picture of Brian, you explain this. You can do this better.
So we actually we have cameras up on the vineyard, and they take kind of, running pictures all during the night and day, especially when we don't have anybody up there. Well, the camera actually captured a bear entering the vineyard. It was after harvest, and the bears would go through and they would pick up the berries that had been dropped to the ground, and they'd find a way to get in there and actually come into our vineyard space. So our vineyard manager actually shared this up on Chatter and communicated to the entire team. It was kind of nice because we all got to see it and do it. So we do use Chatter for communication amongst the team. We also use Chatter for communication specifically amongst the sales team. If I'm doing a presentation for R&DC, say to Joe Gardner, who's the VP of Fine Wine at R&DC, I share that via Chatter with my managers. I also share it to the R&DC account page, so that when my district managers go into, or division managers go into R&DC meetings, they know the message we've already delivered to R&DC via this particular presentation that I did. So they're reinforcing those messages. And we're using Chatter, as well as, like I said, the account pages to sort of reinforce that, as well as just passing stuff along that's really interesting. If there's a great display, hey, here's a new menu placement we had. We're able to share that with the team, and the team can kind of celebrate together on that. So it really works well internally as a social media piece internally.
So what I hear you saying is you're moving away from the pesky emails of, informing your team, clogging up your inbox, and sharing information that way. This is one collaborative feed that's kind of like your Facebook feed, but it's internal and it's built within Salesforce or dare I say it, your Grapevines account. It all comes with your Grapevines account. So you can be using that as well. As on the right-hand side, that's what we're seeing here, is that you can share what you're doing in the field, as well as just internal kind of fun, clips from the bear on your property, all on this feed, and it's an instant update to all of the people that have licenses and access to this information. Tell us about what you're using for internal collaboration on your team.
So we rolled out something called Workplace by Facebook, and we found that our sales team is on Facebook every day. They're posting personally about what they're doing, whether that's related to work and or just their personal interest. And so we found I had come from Facebook, and we use this internal tool. So we rolled out Workplace to them as well. And it's just like Facebook, but it's tailored obviously to internal business discussions. And so we found that it was really easy for them to adopt, and it was really easy for them to express themselves because, to your point, we were using email, and the threads going back and forth were highly annoying, to be honest. And then you don't have everyone actually engaging in the conversation. So you don't actually know if they're really paying attention to all these emails or not. And so it's been a great way for us to bring our team together from a culture point of view, but also, we're really trying to showcase whether it's great placements. We have a group that we formed called Spotted in the Wild, which means, take a picture of a great placement you've done, whether that's like a great display or just a really great shelf set or whatnot. But also if you're seeing competitors out there that are doing something really interesting, we want to see it. We want to bring everyone together to foster those ideas together.
Absolutely.
And we weren't really doing that naturally before.
Or, you see a product in the field and you see a label that's torn and you want to tell your production company, hey,
all of it.
We've got some errors here. So it's a quick way to keep everyone informed, which I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving off into what you said, Kelly, earlier about talking about being engaged online. And then, so we're talking about social data trends and intelligence as a guide for sales rep activities, improve relationship management, and helping them to meet annual goals. So what we're talking about here is when consumers and retailers are posting, brands actually leveraging those posts to, further their sales agendas and whatnot. And being a part of the conversation online, engaging, looking for those opportunities to leverage those posts that you didn't necessarily post yourself, but you can kind of tie in to your, your agenda or whatnot, increase awareness. And do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I would say that, we are actively trying to arm our sales team with more. I give them a stat pack, is what I call it, helping them really understand digital and social space, what that means of how different audiences from millennials to Gen X to baby boomers are really changing their ways of consumption and purchase behaviors. And so for them, we kind of start with the foundation of strategy, give them the tools and the stats to have meaningful conversations that don't just sound like stats, but that integrate with conversations with distributors and with accounts. And then, there's a lot of things I'm hearing this morning that I think we could be doing so much better in Grapevines of tracking a lot of this great integration and activity-based stuff. So I've been taking a lot of good notes, but I think it's all fluid, and I think this is how people are thinking. I think fragmentation is huge in our industry, and mind share and all of that is kind of there's so much competition, so much out there, and I think the more ways that we can arm people with trends and data from grapevines and from behaviors, we can really target unique opportunities in the digital and social space.
Absolutely. Well, you plugged Grapevine, so I'm going to jump all over that, right?
We love Grapevine.
So you've got your sales reps buying into the social selling and tracking it. So what's next? What do you do with all this data? How do you measure it? How do you get your return on investment? And so what if you have your sales reps tracking your social selling activities just as like another KPI? And with Grapevines, shameless plug, we can do that for you. And being built on Salesforce, it's completely customizable. So if you're already tracking account calls, order commitments, new points of distribution, we can add, if you're gonna tweet about an account on there, we can track that for you. And one step further, we can then see, okay, of the accounts that I've tweeted or I've participated on in social media and Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, we can track the retail account data after the math. So you can see, okay, is this really a leading indicator of success? Tim's methodology here, this is what we're talking about. So we're trying to see, okay, we know that it's important, but let's actually see how important it is. And is it going to sell cases for me? And is this going to be something that I'm going to work into my sales strategy? And let's see. We're asking you to follow, friend, connect with us. Is there anything else you want to add, Brian, Kelly?
The only thing I'll add is if your company doesn't have a social media strategy, they need to get one. And a strategy is not randomly tweeting every once in a while. We did a social media audit about 6 months ago and really realized that's what we were doing. We were really, even though I'm big on social media as a company, we weren't necessarily doing it well. So really sit down and come up with a social media strategy. If it's Instagram, if it's Twitter, whatever it is, and then regularly post to social media because you want to engage your audience and keep your audience engaged. And the biggest turnoff for audience is they will not stay engaged if you only post once every 6 months. They will stay engaged if you're posting on a regular basis. Right now, we have a social media calendar that we produce 2 months worth of content, and then we review it and approve it. And we're literally doing 2 months ahead of content right now. So we're posting regularly on Instagram and Facebook.
I totally agree. I think content is huge. I see a lot of things where people will post the same thing on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and each platform and each app is very different. So it's understanding those audiences, and I think it's finding really good quality content. And you can do that on your own. Obviously, you can also partner, but for us, I see a lot of the same, someone pouring wine in a wine glass, from a bottle. It's like the same type of content. And so, for us, we're challenging ourselves. We're guilty of that sometimes too. But it's for us, we represent, over 40 different brands. And so we've got to find ways that make our priority brands really stand out, and our non-priority brands we can represent as well in the social channels. But for us, it's quality content, and what does that mean? And keeping up with, as I mentioned before, attention spans continue to decline. I mean, attention spans are now like 2.5 to 5 seconds of people.
Yikes.
So, you're on your phone and you're scrolling, and what's going to stand out to people to engage with your brand, whether they're liking or comment or sharing, that's really, really important. And so to your point, having a real strategy is really key.
Absolutely. And on that note,
Well, I have a quick question
BD
before
Sales
you-
Summit.
Before
Okay,
you
go
move
ahead.
on, Kelly, could you talk about Pinterest? Because
Yes.
you guys put the logo here. I certainly am aware of it and use it about once every 7 months.
Yeah.
But can you talk about, is it still growing, A, and are you doing anything with it? And what strategies do you think would work with Pinterest?
Yeah, so we kind of look at the 5 major platforms. I don't look at Snapchat because most people aren't of age to drink, so it's not really important to us. But we prioritize or kind of look at platforms based on the audience size as well. So you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got Pinterest right behind it, Snapchat, and then you have Twitter. And so for us, Pinterest is I think growing. I know a lot of people that work there, and I think they're putting a lot of efforts into their business model, which is great to see. I think a platform that is healthy from both a consumer side and a business side is really important, and obviously from us, from a B2B point of view, that's important for us. So I'm seeing a lot of great efforts that Pinterest is making to have better calls to action, better ways to integrate within their platform from a business point of view. We personally use it a lot of food and wine pairings and recipes. That seems to be a great place. We'll utilize our blog, and we'll push to Pinterest in some ways. So we found it kind of more of like food and recipe because, when you look at the data from Pinterest, it talks about their most popular uses, and it's usually recipes. So I'm sure there's more we could be doing there, but that's how we use it.
Absolutely. I know I'm looking up crock pot recipes
Yeah.
and, mixology, stuff on there all the time. So
Yeah.
anyways, any other questions? Michael.
I know you didn't mention too much about Facebook during the talk, but have either of you used paid targeted media on Facebook, and what have the results been?
We're examining it right now. We haven't done it yet. We're looking at it as part of our overall social media strategy. We're certainly looking at it to see what the potentials are.
For us, yes, absolutely. So I will say, Facebook owns Instagram. So the back-end targeting is the same. I'm not talking about the algorithms, but the same great way of the targeting and the segmentation and the analytics is the same on the back end. The way I look at Facebook, and I'll compare it to Instagram just because it's how I delineate the two. Facebook is really about your inner circle of your friends and your families. Those are the connections that you have on Facebook, and that makes sense. And that's really important. There's a statistic that 86% of people trying wine is based on referrals of their friends, and their friends are on Facebook. For Instagram is about a little bit more of a non-reciprocal relationship. So Facebook's that one-to-one. You friend someone, your friends, you follow each other. It's mutually exclusive. Instagram is a little bit like you can follow someone and they don't have to follow you back. It allows a little bit more of people that want to explore and find different avenues, whether that's passion points or something new that they want to follow. So we come into the mindset of knowing what to do with Facebook versus what to do with Instagram, and that develops the type of content. But we have done both. We think it's really important. I think people on average are on between Facebook and Instagram 50 minutes a day. So I don't discount Facebook at all. I use it a little bit differently and from a business point of view for content that's sharing, reviews and press scores and things that are a little bit more like newsworthy. That's how we're sharing it on Facebook. And then for Instagram, we're trying to do a little bit more visual first, inspirational storytelling there.
Gosh, 50 minutes a day. I'd like to get that back. Any other questions? Oh, back there.
Is there any strategy on what specific times work better than others to post?
So there is information out there. I'm not going to quote it off the top of my head, but there's stats that talk about how people are basically on those platforms throughout the day. So they're waking up in bed, they're checking, those platforms. They're checking throughout the day for lunch, dinner, and then before bed. There's a lot of information about people like checking it in the bathroom too. So you're like, okay, well that's interesting. But the point is, what time of frame period do you want to hit people where they're making the best decisions? So there's a lot of information out there that talks about how people are more activity based. So they're on social channels like Facebook and Instagram and other platforms when they're like over half are checking it at restaurants and bars. About 40% are checking it when they're grocery shopping, as well as like attending sporting events and concerts. So I try to think of it differently from not necessarily a time point of view, but like an activity-based point of view, because that's where they're really checking those platforms, and then how you can reach them thinking, well, I've got my wine at the Giants Stadium, and I want to make sure I hit people, when they're at the game, things like that.
Yeah, there have been several studies done on it, and we incorporated it into our social media plan when we implemented it to what times. There's also studies done on what time people are activated to buy on social media. So that's all been sort of put into what our social media plan is. Again, I don't have them off the top of my head. It was our marketing manager who designed the plan, did a fantastic job on it. But she literally brought me in and said, here's when people really buy off of the social media. So this is when the posts will go out. And then, like I said, provide 60 days worth of content every month, every 2 months.
Yeah, it's a good question though, because people are really making purchase decisions like in the moment. There's a lot of information behind that. There's saved features in these platforms now, but the amount of information coming at us in these platforms is overwhelming. And so, you've got to really hit people top of mind at the right time. And that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And the more you participate in social media, the more data that you're going to have.
Yeah.
And, you just want to have a tool that's able to measure, what you're doing, what's working well, and what isn't working well. But to speak to your impulse purchase comment, I've shamelessly bought a lot of things off of Instagram in an impulse purchase. So I can relate to that. Any other questions? No? That's it?